But yes, Haliburton went out. Clearly didn't come back. We got the reports from his dad following the game, but then we got it confirmed as well. It was a torn Achilles tendon from Tyrese Haliburton. That puts his status for next year in jeopardy. Likely going to sit out most of next year's regular season. Also, the very strange, just eerie Achilles popping that happened in these playoffs. It happened to Lillard in the first round, Bucks versus Pacers. What was happening with him? He was playing through some soreness, pops his Achilles. It happens to Jason Tatum against the Knicks in the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. He pops his Achilles. I don't think there was any reported soreness before that, right? Was he hurt?
I don't recall.
Report? I can't remember with Tatum if he was on the injury report. Drop it in the chat at ESPN West Palm or call us 888-760-3776 on the Baptist Health Hotline. If you recall before that one, Tatum going down, he'll be out most of, if not all of next year. Kyrie Irving, earlier in the regular season, it happens to him. But the weird thing is 3 Eastern Conference number 1 stars, offensive fulcrums of their teams. Well, I guess with Lillard, you would say he's the number 2, but he was the point guard. He was the one that was going to have the ball in his hands a lot. All 3 of them pop their Achilles. All 3 of them wear the number 0.
Yeah, just odd coincidence. I think everyone had the same – every basketball fan or sports fan had the same reaction, or at least a parallel reaction to when Kevin Durant popped his Achilles.
Same thing.
In the finals. You just felt the same way because you knew it immediately. You knew that player, that star, was playing through injury, and the way they went down – like Drake with the hands behind his head saying, no, no, no. You knew immediately that sucked, and we got robbed as a general public of a history-defining Game 7.
So here's the report. I'm seeing this now from The Athletic. The Pacers star will need surgery and is expected to miss all of next season. Now, CCAT, we did this already.
Yeah.
I told you all we were sitting in the Duffy's in Plantation.
Yep.
Ahead of a Panthers Game 5, I believe, of the Stanley Cup Final. And I told you, CCAT. Game 6. Right before we tipped off the show. We tip off every day at 2 o'clock. Right around 11:45, we got a report from Shams Charania. What was that report? It was that the Pacers traded away their number 23 overall pick this year and a prospect to the New Orleans Pelicans. And what did they get in return? Their own 26 first-round pick for next year. Now, it was reported that move was made so that they can clear up some cap space, right? They didn't want to be in a position where they were past the luxury tax. They're not past the luxury tax this year. They were trying to make sure they had the flexibility because of all the second apron, first apron rules. It was reported as a cap dump. It also got reported as a thing where they were trying to free up a spot on the roster. But what I said was, again, right after we learned that news, I said, well, we just watched Game 5 where on a similar move to what happened last night, Haliburton strained his calf. We saw that he was limited in that fourth quarter. I believe he was 0 for 6 from the field in that fourth quarter, and really that's when he lights it up. He didn't have the same burst. He did not have the same lift. He couldn't play. He was uncomfortable. And hours after that game, the very next day, the general manager for the Pacers, who I have to give some credit to, Chad Buchanan, he's a name that doesn't get mentioned enough in the NBA sphere, savvy dude, he trades for their next year pick. Well, why would he do that? Well, when's the last time we saw a guy with a calf strain play through an injury in the NBA Finals?
Kevin Durant,
and we mentioned that very name. We talked about 2019, Raptors versus Warriors. KD comes back, Game 5, he pops his Achilles. Somehow, some way, by the grace of God, Tyrese Haliburton made it through Game 6. He pushed it a little too hard there in Game 7 last night, and I hate it for him. I hate it for his family. I hate it for his teammates who obviously had nothing left in the tank. But Hallie pops his Achilles, and now we're looking at a situation where they're going to go all of next year without Tyrese Haliburton. So here's the question, CCAP. If you're Rick Carlisle, if you're general manager Chad Buchanan, who's been an expert when it comes to scouting, he was part of the reason why the Pacers have Haliburton because he made that trade. He got off as Sabonis, brought Hallie in, and he saw the future. He saw that Hallie could be a star. How do you get top-tier talent to Indiana? Because there's 3 ways to acquire talent in the NBA. It's either via the draft, it is via trade or it's via free agency. So to trade, you have to have assets. You can't just trade willy-nilly because you have to have ascending talent on your team or future draft capital to trade to get stars on your roster. Or you draft well and you develop those guys within, like what we saw from the Thunder. Those are the NBA champions right now. Why? Because they drafted damn well. Also, they made the move for Shea. If you're the Pacers, next year is a wash. Next year, you can really blow it up. The Celtics are going to pump fake at it. If you're the Pacers, you have all of the excuses in the world with Haliburton out and your 2026 pick now in your possession. You knew the risk coming into Game 6 and 7 that Hallie could potentially do this. It happened. It sucks. You won't have the title this year. But I do believe the insight that they had to trade for their pick back is going to be what set this franchise up to still have a healthy future despite losing a full season of a guy like that's prime. It sucks if you're a Pacers fan today, seeing your guy go down and to lose Game 7 in the way you did, not even be competitive down the stretch.
Especially because of how good he looked before he got hurt.
Man, he was pulling that thing. He was going to go for 40. He was going to go for 40. I was pulling out my Hard Rock Bet app. I'm like, oh, man, what y'all? After he hit that second one?
Yeah.
I said, oh, hell no.
Screaming at the crowd.
It's about to go down. He calling people out their name. I thought it was over with, but it sucks the way it ended. But if you're a Pacers fan, you can live in that solace knowing because you have a savvy GM, you set yourself up for a proper future. Hopefully you get a top 10, top 7 pick next year. Hopefully you get some lottery luck. You see what happened for the Mavericks? And then you can be rolling out there with enough talent to duel with a team like the Thunder. This injury could end up backhandedly turning the Pacers into a team that could be a consistent threat. These past couple of years has felt kind of volatile.
You don't
feel kind of shaky that they've gotten there?
I don't know. This feels like the very definition of a lot of dominoes had to fall in the right way for the Pacers to get where they were, to get one win away from a championship. No?
Yes, you're right. So here's the thing. I'm not saying I'm saying it's going to be a net positive when it's all said and done. I'm saying similar to with the Golden State Warriors, one of the undermined and undervalued portions of that dynasty that was built, it wasn't the KD acquisition. It wasn't even trading away Monta Ellis at the right time to give more space in the backcourt for Klay to get in and have a bigger role. It was Steph Curry's ankle injuries to start his career off. There was like talks early in Steph's career that he would not be able to stay healthy enough to be a valuable, franchise star. The ankles were an issue, and that's why his first extension he signed with the Warriors was just small enough. It was a big extension, but it wasn't a max contract for them to be able to build around him strategically. That's why they had the space when that cap spike happened and KD came in. I don't want to get into all the minutia of the NBA, salary cap, machinations and all of that stuff, but it all started with Steph Curry's ankles being a problem. And sometimes if you're a savvy GM, if you're a good organization, you let your problem be your solution. The Pacers, before Game 6 even tipped off, right after Game 5, they talked with their team doctors. Even Haliburton admitted it. He said, I had some very tough conversations with the medical staff ahead of Game 6. And again, he played through Game 6, no problems. But you see why those conversations were tough based off of what happened last night. And you see how a smart organization like the Pacers got ahead of the 8 ball. You know how hard it would be for the Pacers to trade for their 2026 pick today?
Yeah.
It would be impossible.
Next year looks like an immediate wash.
Yeah. They control their future.